Hello everyone, welcome to Hibernate tutorial. In our previous tutorial, we have already covered what Hibernate is, what are its advantages. After that, we have covered why we need Hibernate. And after that, we covered that what are the important elements of the Hibernate architecture. In this tutorial, we will see that what are at code level, what are important files, and how we use that files in our program. So there are two important files in the Hibernate. One is Hibernate configuration file, then we have Hibernate hbm file. Hibernate configuration file consists of all the database related informations, and mapping file consists of all mapping of the fields to the database or mapping of the class to the table. And then we have POM, what are the important dependency, what are the required dependency for the Hibernate. So here first we will see the Hibernate configuration file. This Hibernate configuration file consists of the Hibernate configurations. It consists of further session factory. Session factory consists of all the elements which are all the properties which are required for the connection with the database. We have driver class. Driver class is MySQL driver. Then we have URL for the database tally comma. We have to create this tally comma in our database, and after that username is root and we do not have any password. Then show SQL true. If it is true, then it will print the SQL queries in the console. After that, we have to provide the mapping for the hbm file. We have to mention the resource where the hbm file is. So this Hibernate configuration consists of the configurational information about the Hibernate. Then we have Hibernate hbm.xml. Hibernate hbm.xml consists of the Hibernate mapping. Hibernate mapping with the, like in case of Hibernate, we map the class with the table and fields with the columns of the table. So here we can here inside we have class tag, and in which we have to mention the class and the table. Then we have id. So id can be generator class. We have to use any generator class for the id. For example, assigned. If it is assigned, then we have to manually give the id. If it is sequence or any other native, so it will behave accordingly. After that, we have property. So in the property, we have to mention our field name in the property. So this is one more important file, hbm file. After that, what we required is we required the dependencies. In the pom.xml, for example, we need the Hibernate core, and our current version is 5.2.6 final. And we also required the MySQL driver. For example, we are using 5.1.40. So these dependency we have to add in the pom.xml. We have to add this dependency in the pom.xml. And then after that, if suppose we are using for the standalone applications, so here with the help of configuration, we have to load the configuration file first. And after that, once the configuration file we have loaded, then we have to create the object of session factory, and from session factory we can get the object of the session. And after that, we can use the transaction. We can begin the transaction, and then once we have execute our operation, for example, we have to create the object, then we have to persist our object, then commit the transaction, and finally we have to close the session. So these are the steps which we have to follow. So in this tutorial, what we have covered what are the important files and how we start coding with the Hibernate, and what are the dependency for the Hibernate. In our next tutorial, we will create a example. We will create an example, and we